Understand your options?
I understand my options, man.
There's your provincial offense.
Thank you.
Now this is an administrative penalty notice.
Oh, for what?
Hamilton.
Yeah.
This is for shaking hands with the public.
No way.
Fail to maintain a distance of at least 2 meters from another person. Section bylaw 2164, section 2.1. Once again, your options are on the back. Voluntary payment, or you have the option to be with an officer, and you can argue. Okay?
So that's strictly just for shaking hands with someone?
For shaking hands, not maintaining 2 meters for the distance.
Okay, so for the record, can I get your name and badge number?
Officer District number 370.
370, thanks.
Wow, holy frickin' cow. People are getting fines and ticketed and police visits for shaking hands in the communist state of Canada. Just when you thought the government couldn't become more ridiculous, here we are. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Radowski of WeAreChange.org. Lots to talk about, especially with the latest pathetic growling that U.S. mainstream media establishment celebritards are doing to the Chinese Communist state. Lots to unpack there. All the while, people who tried to uncover the truth, like U.S. Senator Rand Paul, are attacked in an effort to silence them, which keeps highlighting how our voices absolutely matter, and that's why they're trying to silence them as much as they can. Soon, the only thing you will be able to say on the internet is that you love China and the multinational technocratic corporations that rule your life, but we're not there yet. And we're not there, but in hindsight, we also have to understand that these multinational, billionaire, banking, corporate establishment elites are the ones dictating American policy, which predominantly always acts on the behests of special interests, and not, of course, on popular demands of the people. And they're able to get away with this mainly because they distract people from actually knowing what's going on, while they argue about meaningless bullcrap that divides and conquers the general public against itself, as perfectly represented by Kellogg launching their Pride cereal that encourages children to pick out their pronouns. In other news, the spokesperson for the woke ideology, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, just announced that she is in therapy because of the trauma that happened at the Capitol riot when she was not at the Capitol. I guess this is one of their imaginary lived experiences, which is absolutely perplexing if you understand the full story here. In other surprising news, the U.S. mainstream media actually talked about inner city violence, which they were forced to cover after there was a drive-by shooting during the George Floyd Memorial Anniversary in Minneapolis.
Just got to be careful here with some gunshots. Excuse us.
And in this news broadcast, unironically, after this event unfolded to one of their anchors, they started to talk about the need for police reform, which of course has been the focus of the media establishment that willingly chooses to ignore black-on-black violence and crime, which statistics highlight a major discrepancy with their reporting and what is actually happening. Another example of this is the latest news of a Black Lives Matter activist being shot in the head in the United Kingdom. As the news broke of this, there was a lot of finger-pointing, a lot of people trying to blame white people and racism. And the news came out that it was actually 4 other black men that led an attack on this Black Lives Matter leader. And with this huge surge of violence in American cities all throughout the country, specifically Democratic-heavy cities that have recently released a lot of violent criminals from its jails, along with the promotion of riots and lawlessness in these cities, the Biden administration decided to shift the conversation and blame everything on firearms, which again is utterly and totally disingenuous behavior that obfuscates the reality of what's happening here. And when you obfuscate the truth, you prevent an issue from actually ever being dealt with. This is also on the heels of the Biden administration announcing that they will not be doing student debt cancellation, which was one of their campaign promises, and the same administration that just announced that they're going to be refusing to investigate the origin of last year's sickness. Why did they do this? Well, we're going to talk about this in just a little bit. But before we do, we wanted to remind you that this is an independent media organization that is supported predominantly by you. After we got fully demonetized, we launched a t-shirt store. It's doing really well. We even just made a beanie as an homage to a friend of mine. There's some shirts we have here that we can't show you on this platform, but you could see it exclusively on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. The link to it is down below in the description. And of course, your support not only goes towards supporting this independent media organization, but also making friends very easily, since it is almost certainly guaranteed that if you wear one of our t-shirts, someone who is like-minded, who is not in the Matrix, who is not a brainwashed sheep, will see it, come up to you, and ask you where you got it. This is where you say thebestpoliticalshirts.com and you become friends with a fellow informed human being that actually is paying attention to what is going on, helping you build a community of like-minded individuals that will be absolutely essential in the troubling times ahead. So yeah, get a shirt, especially the ones that we can't show you on here, which is a growing list of things, and that's why we have LukeUncensored.com. I'm really proud of the video that I released on there yesterday. A lot of people that have signed up are ranting and raving about this. I'm going to be doing another video today on LukeUncensored.com. Stay tuned for that and a lot more coming to that specific platform. Now, U.S. Senator Rand Paul has been in the news a lot lately, and as you know, this very news organization had disagreements with him before. There's videos highlighted on this channel between me and Rand Paul that were pretty contentious. But forgetting the past, I do have to say the latest actions by U.S. Senator Rand Paul have been, in my opinion, absolutely fearless, right on the money, and critically important for the dialogue that is happening right now in this country that is especially important, which he provides very important context for. Now, of course, a lot of people don't like this conversation and they want to stop this conversation from happening, and we have seen a lot of people encouraging violence against him, which is repugnant. It's sick and it's disgusting to see when this happens. You may not agree with Rand Paul on everything, but we should at least be allowed to have this conversation, and we have to acknowledge now that there's a concerted effort to stop this from happening, as we're just getting the news right now that U.S. Senator Rand Paul received a suspicious package with threat against him containing white powder at his home. This also included a letter that said, quote, "I'll finish what your neighbor started, you," expletive. Personally, I have a friend which a similar incident like this happened to. I also get my fair share of threats of violence against me. It's sad that this is somehow being normalized in a way, but we also have to understand that this is all on the heels of Rand Paul specifically questioning Dr. Fauci about him personally financing gain-of-function research at the Level 3 Wuhan laboratory, which even Dr. Fauci admits deserves to be further investigated. The UK government agrees, and they just issued a statement that this theory must be explored and investigated, since this theory has absolutely a lot of merit to it. There's a lot of evidence suggesting that this was the case. We went over that specifically in great detail yesterday, which of course now even the U.S. media establishment is admitting. Former U.S. President Donald Trump just announced that, quote, "I was right," and the U.S. mainstream media establishment is agreeing with many outlets issuing corrections to their previous debunking efforts. Other, quote, news organizations like Vox, which is a trusted news source here on YouTube, got caught stealth editing their articles that was allegedly debunking this theory, as of course many people are paying attention to all the media outlets that were lying to us based off assumptions and opinions that were never based off any science. Now, even with the larger media establishment fully now acknowledging that this lab leak theory is absolutely a big possibility, there's still very few establishment prostitutes that are sticking to the official line and trying to protect China at all costs, like the Washington Post that just released an article that is detailing how the, quote, right is dwelling on the slanderous myth about the origin of this sickness. Yes, that's literally the latest gaslighting PR propaganda piece, as if it was almost written by the Communist Chinese Party. that the Washington Post released. The Washington Post head fact-checker even admitted that this theory is now credible after, of course, slamming people like Ted Cruz for talking about it last year, which they rightfully deserve to be called out for, since they lied to us for over a year about what actually happened here, obfuscating and attacking anyone who dared to ask questions surrounding this. And now all of them are acknowledging that they were wrong all along. And of course, this has serious implications, which we talked about yesterday, since of course, the biggest one of all is the fact that this theory directly points that China caused the single worst man-made disaster in human history. Doing so, of course, with U.S. tax-paying dollars that paid them to create dangerous sicknesses to be as lethal and as infectious as they could be. All, of course, with the direct approval of Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci, the same man that attacked people for talking about this lab origin story, and also had this to say at the same time when specifically talking about China.
China has been known to fiddle with their stats before. Do you trust what they are telling us about this illness?
From what I can see right now, they really are being much, much more transparent.
All of this at the same time as the U.S. mainstream media establishment and politicians and figureheads were telling you that you can't even say that this sickness came from China. There's even full-fledged campaigns to make sure that no one called it a sickness from China. Meanwhile, those same people that told you not to talk about China in relation to the sickness are the same ones who are talking about this Indian variant loudly and proudly. It also looks like Dr. Fauci found another groveling partner to suck up to China to, as of course we have this latest video by John Cena, celebritard Hollywood actor, who came out in a public video speaking in Mandarin, growling and apologizing because he recognized Taiwan as a country. Yes, John Cena, for the horrible crime for saying that Taiwan is the first country that would be able to watch the Fast and Furious, created a scandal that John Cena needed to publicly apologize about. Apologizing in Mandarin to the people for his grave verbal expression of recognizing another country. Saying specifically, translated here, I'm very, very, very sorry about my mistake. It's also important to note here that larger institutions like the World Health Organization also have the same stance as John Cena and do not officially recognize Taiwan as a country. And to see this type of behavior being done for essentially money should show you just how absolutely and quickly the ruling establishment will sell you out and the general public for their own personal benefit. And I do believe the Babylon Bee definitely had the best take here with their satirical article that was titled, quote, John Cena apologizes to China by body slamming a Uyghur Muslim. Now, as all of this happens, as the wider geopolitical gap widens between the United States and China, especially culturally, we also have the very interesting news of Chinese banks recently buying the US dollar, which is a very interesting, perplexing move. But this is also on the backdrop of the White House hinting that they have no interest at all at investigating the origin of the sickness last year, specifically indicating and telling people to, quote, not jump to conclusions because we don't have enough data and information, which the United States indicated that they're not interested in finding out and will not be investigating. The World Health Organization, that again doesn't even recognize Taiwan as a country, released a statement talking about the, quote, evolutionary certainty of this sickness and other sicknesses to come, trying to obfuscate the lab leak theory, doing the bidding of the Chinese Communist state, which many people accuse not only of John Cena doing, but also this very government and establishment. And with the policies that they've been instituting, that absolutely makes perfect sense. If you ever get a free moment definitely meditate for a little bit. But after you're done meditating, look up fifth generational warfare, and then you will start looking around, and a lot of things will start to actually make sense. All the pieces to the puzzles will come together with a broader understanding of what actually is happening right now. You might think some of the things are backwards or ignorant or totally idiotic, but there's, in my opinion, a bigger, larger agenda unfolding right now that a lot of people don't even know about. But hey, I'm going to be talking about that, plus the latest horrible news in Canada, where there are pop-up clinics offering ice cream to children to do a procedure that we can't even discuss here. We're going to be discussing the latest horrendous, horrible events in Canada on lukeuncensored.com. And because you guys are joining that platform, I'm able to actually be here and exist. A lot of people are very happy I have this platform. I am as well. We're going to be building it, expanding it, most likely even creating our own kind of social media or forum where we all get to communicate, talk to each other, do research, and find actionable information that could make the world a better place for ourselves individually, for our families, for our neighborhoods, and then our communities. That's the process. That's the step. We're just in the infancies of it. I want to thank everyone who's being involved in it already. Once we build up lukeuncensored.com to be a way bigger thing, it'll have a totally different name. Once that's built up, the price of admission will have to be raised because of all the extra work associated with it. But the people who are signed up now, of course, the price will not go up for you. It's essentially, you guys are the initial investors in this larger, bigger project that I am absolutely happy to be a part of. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you actively watching and sharing these videos. This is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.